It's Steve, the Guardrail Guy. Raleigh and I are out for a walk on the East Lake Shore Trail, East Tennessee. And we're just out for a walk. I thought I would show you a little bit about, or show you where we're at. Hey there, how's it going? I just decided to go live. Thought I'd share a little bit of my walk. Let me flip this around. Steve, I don't see anyone on here yet, but I thought if you join me, you could join me and you could ask questions. If you had some questions, I often get questions. I often don't get to the comments, every single one of them. So I thought, well, I'm out for a walk in the woods. I can see the questions. I have some battery life. So if you have a question, feel free to ask. I'll flip this around. You can see where I'm at. I'm out on the East Lake Shore Trail in Loudoun County, Tennessee. This is Tellico Lake beside me. I've got Raleigh. Raleigh was supposed to be, I went to pick him up, and we actually went to pick him up really close to where Hannah's crash was. They told us he was a basset. I get out of the car, and hi from Sweden. Those comments from like places like Sweden are just wild. I can't believe that YouTube and social media, TikTok, give you that platform where you can talk to people halfway around the world. Sound because it seems like I'm having a hard time maintaining my signal. I should have a decent signal here, but it appears that I am unstable. My signal, not me. Guardrail channel, yeah, it's Steve. Mushrooms though, going back to mushrooms, there's an issue with guardrail crashes. And I've seen multiple fatal crashes. Hey there, who's that? All right, bye. Anyways, people who have, say, a marijuana card, who are driving and getting into a crash, hitting a guardrail, and then somebody gets killed, and they're like, well, I have a pot card. And it's like, yeah, well, I'm 21 and I have a license that allows me to buy alcohol. It doesn't mean I can drive under the influence. On average, around all of America, what percent do you think are up to code? Oh gosh. Guardrails that are up to code. So Tennessee, Ontario's pretty good. I know they're not technically a state, but they do have Tim Hortons and Celine Dion, so we'll count them. Maine is pretty decent. There's a handful of states that are pretty decent. And those really decent states, I'd say, when you pull their design drawings and you pull the instruction manual checklist, I would guess maybe 10% of their inventory would, if you went down the checklist, and I'm not talking about nitpicking stuff, I'm just talking about what is on their checklist. Maybe 10%. Wouldn't catch one thing with it. What you doing, man? Walking alone in the woods? Well, I have the dog with me. He's up there somewhere. Raleigh, get back here. Let me flip this around. But yeah, I'm walking in the woods. Do you paint your knees green in the woods? No. Yeah, my battery's gonna die. I know it's gonna die. I don't really. I'm close to. Yeah, I'm gonna be. Anyways, I'm not too worried about my battery dying out here. Good evening from Barbados. That is awesome. Thank you for joining me from Barbados. If you want to sponsor a trip, I will come and search your guardrails anytime. We used to install rail for the state of Texas. I got to be part It got to be BS because the inspectors wanted to cut corners to save money, so we quit bidding. Hey, have integrity, quit bidding, and make sure you don't kill people, because there are folks that will just do it. Are out of West Virginia rails very safe per your experience? I would put West Virginia's guardrails in the lowest tier of guardrails in the United States. I don't. It was really bad. It's just, to be candid, it was terrible. They don't anchor their rails. Where am I from? I grew up in Western New York. I was born in Georgia. I am in East Tennessee right now, near Knoxville, near the Interstate 75 and 40 split, if you've ever been in that area. So, East Tennessee. Yeah, I live in Tennessee. By the way, I am from Mongolia. How about that? There's a great movie that I love. Folks like Tank Man from Tiananmen Square. They inspire me, various people, but one of them was The Long Road Home. It was about a number of former Soviet prison detainees that escaped, and they eventually walked all the way to Mongolia and then onward after they saw that Mongolia had fallen to the communists into India. And I think it's called The Long Road Home. Great movie. I think it's in Russian. So I speak a little bit of Russian. Mainly I learned from orphans. I did a lot of orphan advocacy in Eastern Ukraine and in Moldova. And I didn't know later that, until I started speaking with some people who actually spoke Russian, that I'd been taught what was called dirty Russian. So I had a little bit of a swearing problem that I didn't know I had. All right, but that's amazing. Another Barbados, Mongolia, Sweden. Anyways, just out for a walk. A little different than just say guardrails, but I thought if you want to ask me questions, feel free to. What's kind of cool is now we all of a sudden we transition here to more of a pine forest. This is the East Lake Shore Trail. It's undeveloped property that the Tennessee Valley Authority owns on Tellico Lake. It's about a 40-mile stretch of paths. There's public hunting land, but one time I tend not to want to hunt out here because I once went onto one section where there was about 100 acres and 12 hunters with rifles in 100 acres. I think I'd rather hunt in Fallujah than on public land like that. So I'm getting, yeah, okay, so let's see. Is there a cat weasel in the woods? I don't know. Can I please say they're in the trees? Well, there you go. Where are the cat weasels? Well, I guess I'm going to have to be looking up the Urban Dictionary to see what that is. So, let's go down. Let's see what the last question is. I'm learning perfect English. Do you know cheat codes? I can barely speak English, and I was born here. If I was going to try to learn English or any language, I would watch cartoons, to be candid. I learned so much Russian watching Masha and the Bear, when it was Masha and the Medvedev. But anyways, watch cartoons, learn it like you would as a child. How many states have you visited so far for guardrail safety? Let's see. Arizona, Texas, Mississippi, Massachusetts, New York, Pennsylvania, Ohio, West Virginia, DC, Maryland, Delaware, North, South Carolina, Florida, Georgia. These are in person. Arkansas. Let's see, there's more. But a lot of the stuff I do on Google Street View, I've looked at guardrails. I've identified guardrail crashes in Brazil within 45 minutes of the time of the crash. So Google Street View really lets you go in a lot more places. I have around 30 Type A terminal ends. Behind the shop. I always thought they could have been designed a lot better. I'm assuming you're in Ohio and Type A. Listen, whatever you can do to get rid of Type A terminals in the state of Ohio is the single deadliest type of terminal on your roadway. Type A's. I have a quote. I have the video. It is a safety official with Ohio Division of the Federal Highway Administration. He says, quite frankly, Type A's are not crash worthy. I have documented 3 recent crashes involving Type A's. This is a turn down type guardrail in Ohio. It's a ramp. 3 fatals in the last recent bit. 2 of those near, I think it's Maryville, Ohio. And when I went and started doing that investigation, I discovered there had been a previous fatal at both of those locations. I've done some research that would suggest that every time a turn down guardrail is hit, for every 6 times, 1 person will die. That is just off the charts dangerous. So in those situations, I'd rather for the land. It looks, is that a French flag or is that a Russian flag? I don't know. Masha Medvedev, yes, I'm watching. So many American movies, but I can't speak native people. You just got to keep trying, but watch cartoons. I'm Russian? No. I grew up in Western New York. I adopted a couple boys, 3 boys from Kharkov region. So I learned, and then going into the orphanages, been into, I think, 25, 27 across Moldova and the Ukraine. And most of them are Russian speaking. They're in Russified regions. So I spoke a little bit, enough to sometimes make a fool of myself. I remember one time, Samaritan's Purse, which is Franklin Graham, does the Operation Christmas Child boxes. I just happened to be in an orphanage when they were coming in, and I stayed. I wanted to see the boxes delivered, and I remember I told all the kids to shut the hell up, and I thought I told them to be quiet, and one of the folks with Samaritan's Purse was like, "Do you realize what you just said to him?" I'm like, "Yeah, asked him to be quiet for a second." They said, "No, you didn't." So, but no, I'm not Russian. Texas. Texas is a tough state. High speed. I don't like your wooden post. I'm in Texas. The high speeds are awful. Philippines. That is wild. I worked with a doctor from the Philippines when I was in New York. Where am I? East Lakeshore Trail in Loudoun County, Tennessee. It's a TVA, undeveloped property. Just a beautiful location. And I've got Raleigh, come with me. Raleigh, come on. I've got a treeing walker coonhound, and he's with me. Here he comes. Come on, Raleigh. So he's got his yellow vest on. Archery season has started here. So Steve, thoughts on requiring asphalt under guardrail to prevent vegetation? I think that ideally that's going to be a better scenario. I don't want to put my post directly into the asphalt, but I didn't say any love for the Russian army, but anyways, I speak a little Russian, but yeah, I think that vegetation control is important, especially a lot of it. You get into a lot of these situations where you just let the trees grow forever. That's just you gotta have open eyes. Okay, so you're having a hard time hearing. I'm sorry. I'm a history nerd. So hey, history nerd. I am in an area. This is near Tellico Dam. Bustle Island is. Let me flip this around. You can't quite see it, but Bustle Island is that direction by about. I seem to have a little better here. I'm going to go out to the point here. I'll show you a spot where I really love to jump off the cliffs. Get into a bear fight. I've actually never seen a bear out in this area. I hope I don't meet one today, because I'm going to be slower than Raleigh, and all I have is a rope to defend myself out here today. I'm in high school. Stay safe out there in high school. What I'd suggest, I'd love to see our high schoolers focusing on STEM, especially engineering. We need ethical folks going into engineering. All right. Anyways, what I was talking about out here is I've never seen a bear out here. I see a lot of deer. I've run into a lot of snakes. Should keep my eyes on the path a little better, because literally the last time I was out here, I almost stepped on just a black snake, nothing dangerous. But we have two snakes in Tennessee. If they're on land, they're copperhead, and if they're on water, they're water moccasins. But you ask most people here, that's what they're going to tell you. Anyways, I thought I'd try a live. Anyone have any other questions? They blend into the path. Yeah, let me flip this around. Especially today, a copperhead out here is going to be... Oh, you're not going to see it. Come on, Raleigh. Come on. But we did scare up a deer earlier. This is public hunting out here, and I don't like hunting out here because it can be a war zone. It's so close to Knoxville. But I've seen a couple of atypicals out here. A really beautiful atypical buck. Let's see, what's this question here? Maybe you can do a part-time job. I'm 22 years old and I give advice. Let's see. Where am I from? I grew up in Western New York, was born in Georgia, and I live in East Tennessee. Whoa. All right, let me flip this around. Sorry, let me flip this around. I'm up on the bluffs now, approaching. A lot of folks will jump out here. This is a really beautiful area, really beautiful time of the year. This East Lake Shore Trail. What's the best way to report guardrail deficiencies? I prefer to report to state DOTs rather than local agencies. I do report guardrails to local agencies, but what I do, I forget what the guy's name is. He was a famous, Sutton was his last name. He was a bank thief. And Willie Sutton. And he said, they asked him, they said, why do you rob banks, Willie? He said, because that's where the money is. And people ask, well, why do you like reporting guardrails to state DOTs? Because that's, one, where the money is. They have the money to fix them. Two, in my research, about 2/3 of all the deaths that occur are occurring on an interstate or a high-speed highway, a divided highway. So your best return on investment is going to be on an interstate or state highway getting that guardrail fixed. Now, I'll try to get any guardrail fixed, but that's why I focus on state highways. They have the budget. They also they can sometimes, I use legal notice sometimes, which is take a picture of the location, I send it to their legal team rather than their engineering team, and then I say, listen, you're on legal notice. This guardrail is going to is in a functionally deficient state, and that the failure to mitigate this hazard could result in the death or serious harm of another person. I'm not here to, one thing I've learned is if I don't beat them on day number 1, there will never be a day number 2. They won't listen to me. A lot of folks will say, hey, could you be nicer? And I'm like, I've tried that, and it doesn't work. It doesn't work. So, what project? I'm not sure. Oh, so I'm going to reach somewhere here momentarily. I'll flip this around. So let me flip this around. I thought I'd bring you out here, share a place that was really kind of special for Hannah. She loved coming out here and jumping off the cliffs. Hannah was my daughter who was 17. She was killed when a guardrail came through her car. And oldest of our children. Have you ever killed a bear? No, I went archery hunting once in Cherokee National Forest and didn't see a thing. And I didn't like the idea of hunting a bear with a bow. I mean, I had a Glock on my hip, but I wasn't. No, I don't like things that can eat me. Okay, so I wanted. I say my job right now. I used to be a registered nurse. I transitioned over about 20 years ago. I started a window cleaning company, and after Hannah's case came to a conclusion, I have transitioned to full-time safety advocacy work and just trying to see what the next chapter for me is in life. Started YouTube, and I kind of, after Hannah's case came to a conclusion, to try to deal with some of the more macro questions. What's my favorite firearm? Probably the 1022 from Ruger. Just classic plinking kind of gun. Just one that really is versatile, useful for a lot of little things around the house. That's probably my favorite. Square tube guardrails. It's a traditional square tube guardrails. Oh, box beam guardrails. So box beam is very common. So box beams were very common where I grew up in Western New York. They can be really good in places where you get drifting snow or drifting sand, because it goes from, I forget what basically the W-beam is about 12 inches, so it can act like a wind dam and collect the snow or sand. So that's where box beam works well. There's box beam guardrail end terminals. MG45, no. So, but box beam guardrails, they have their place. That's in a language I think is AK. How did this turn into a threat on firearms? I think that. So, anyways, let's take a break here and take a look at where I was headed. Hey, Raleigh. So, these are the Mizell Bluffs. This used to be, they flooded this lake in the early 70s. The snail darter, if anyone ever heard of that. This is about 65 feet up. And folks will come up here and they'll jump in the water. I've never jumped from up here. I'll come down here. Careful, Raleigh. And they'll often jump from down up there. I'll climb way down there, about 10 feet off the water. It takes me about 15 minutes to get your courage, and nothing's as humiliating as having some 14-year-old girl up here that's jumped 4 times, and she jumps and she says, "You can do it. You can do it." Hey guys, I'm gonna have to delete that call. I'm gonna have to jump off here. That's kind of an important call, but let me just give you one panorama here before I sign off. Take a look. This is East Tennessee. If you look up the East Lake Shore Trail, you can find this. That's Tellico Dam over there. That's the spillway, emergency spillway. That's Rarity Point, which is, I forget what it's called now. But just a beautiful East Tennessee fall afternoon. Thanks for joining me, and appreciate you. We're gonna stop with the gun threat, but nothing on me right now, folks. Nothing on me right now. But like I said, my favorite's gonna be a 1022 from the Ruger 1022. But just a beautiful day out here today. Thanks for joining me. I got to take this call, but we will see you on the next short, probably, or maybe a live. Talk to you later.